Hey, welcome to Chappie's Tiki Bar. This is the island cooking episode. Today I'm going to make a mojito. We're going to go back to the Rainbow Druve-In and have a Loco Moco. Then I'm going to make two kinds of Loco Mocos. Then we're off to Spolumbo's in Calgary. And then we're going to have best tropical destination stories. And then I'm going to make some Jamaican Jerk Chicken. And then I'm going to make the Hawaiian dessert Haupia. And then I'm also going to make a Cuban plate, a Steak Churrassco with Chimichurri sauce. And I'm going to show you how to make Hawaiian chili water. And then we're going to have a refreshing orange whip. All here on Chappie's Tiki Bar. Aloha, beaches. Welcome to episode number 3 of Chappie's Tiki Bar. I'm Chappie, and this is Mookie. And we got a lot of cooking today, but we're going to start out making a mojito. So Mookie's going to help me make a mojito. We're going to start out and do a little muddling. So I got some fresh mint leaves. That's going to go into the party. I'm going to put a little bit of granulated sugar, not so much for sweetness, but the abrasiveness is going to break the leaves up when I do the muddling. And we get some fresh lime juice. And then if you want to put in make your own simple syrup, it's dead easy. You just have to 1 part sugar, 1 part water, put it in a pot, heat it up until the sugar dissolves. I have mint syrup from Authentic Spearmint. So give that a try. Ooh, that smells nice. So I'm adding my mint syrup, but you could do any kind of simple syrup, or if you don't have simple syrup, you can just add a little bit more of the granulated sugar. And then we got the some more fresh limes we're going to put in to muddle. We're going to muddle. I got a really nice muddler out at the cabin with a rubber bottom. This one's just from a mortar and pestle, so I'm kind of worried I'm going to break the glass. Okay, and you want to break those leaves down, mash up the lime so it's all the oils and juices are released. Alright, then we're going to go with, I got a nice strong rum. It says overproof rum. So white rum is a must for the mojito. So get a good healthy shot of the rum. And then I got some club soda, Canada Dry. Oh, and don't forget lots of ice. And there's your mojito. Ooh, it's strong, but very nice. Okay, so coming up next, I'm going to make 2 kinds of Loco Mocos. Before we go do that, I'm going to show you the best Loco Moco I had in Hawaii. We're going to go back to the world famous Rainbow Druve-In. This was featured on Best Thing I Ever Ate, the Comfort Food episode. So we're off to the Rainbow Druve-In in Honolulu, Hawaii. So this is the location closest to Waikiki. It's actually walking distance. The Rainbow Druve-In has 3 locations in Honolulu. So the Loco Moco consists of a fried egg sunny side on top of a hamburger patty with Japanese sticky rice, and it's smothered in gravy. Now the Rainbow Druve-In, their gravy is particularly good. This is the Loco Moco Bowl, so it's the most economical one. So you just get the 1 egg, 1 hamburger patty, and then the delicious gravy, and the rice is on the bottom there. So that was actually the first thing I had when I got to Hawaii. Loco Moco actually makes a great breakfast. So that's the Loco Moco plate. That came with mac salad and the rice. And then that's they called it the hamburger steak. So that was basically a Loco Moco without the egg, but you got 3 hamburger patties, and 2 scoops of rice, and then there was the macaroni salad. So that made it a Hawaiian plate again. And then, of course, the delicious gravy. So that was the world famous Rainbow Drive-In, and I highly recommend the Loco Moco there. Greetings, Earthlings. So I'm going to roast off some bones to make a nice beef stock for my killer Loco Moco gravy. So I got some beef marrow bones. And I have a bone from a ribeye steak. I have a bone from a prime rib. And then have a bunch of short rib bones. One just hit the floor. I guess that one is Mookie's. And then when I did the chicken stock for the chicken long rice in episode 1, I did not roast the vegetables. I just added them raw, but I'm just going to keep it easy. I'm going to roast the vegetables off to give it a nice little roasted flavor. So I got some carrots, celery, onions, throw a little garlic in there, and then I got some, I'll just put it all together when I'm roasting it to keep it easy. So I got some bay leaves and a few sprigs of rosemary. So I'm just gonna roast it all off, get it nice deep and rich, and then same as the chicken stock, I'm gonna add the cold water to it. That way the collagen comes out of the pores and they don't coagulate if you added it to the boiling water. Now for the beef stock, my secret ingredient, I got this Better Than Beef bouillon. You can get the little jars at most grocery stores. This is the big jar I got at Costco, and it just adds extra beefy goodness. So we're gonna roast them off, and then I'm gonna dump it in the slow cooker with, again, cold water, and probably let it go for a good 12 hours in the slow cooker. We got the bones roasted off for my killer gravy to make the Loco Moco. I put the bones and the onions, carrots, and celery in the oven on bake for 350 for about an hour. Got it all nice and brown. Then I put it all in the slow cooker with some bay leaves and rosemary, and added some seasoning, and let that go in the slow cooker for 12 hours. Then I took the stock, I put it through a cheesecloth into another big pot, and I added my secret, the Better Than bouillon, beef bouillon that I got at Costco. It adds a nice dark rich color and a lot more flavor. In episode 1, when I did the stock for the chicken long rice, I had a lot of chicken meat in it, and that added the flavor. I mostly had bones, so I wanted to add a little bit more flavor. So, and then I added a little bit of red wine to the stock and reduced it. I let it reduce at a rolling boil for about an hour. And then I came up with this killer stock. So I'm going to freeze a bunch in the ice cube trays, and then I put it up into a Ziploc bag, and then I can make individual gravies whenever I want. I can have Loco Moco for breakfast anytime I want. And then also with the stock, I let it cool, and I skimmed off the beef fat. Now this is the trick to my killer Loco Moco, is that when you fry the egg in the hamburger grease. Now I'm going to put the beef grease in first and fry the hamburger in that, and then you're going to get the hamburger grease and the beef grease, and then I'm going to fry the egg in that. And that's where you're going to get all the flavor on the egg is from the hamburger fat. And then so when I do the hamburger, I'm going to do a smash style. This is going to be a giant hamburger. This is like the size of a softball. I got a slice of bread and I soaked it in milk, and then I broke it up put it in with an egg to add moisture, and then I seasoned it well, so you got the seasoning on the inside, and then we're going to season it on the outside. And then I also added this pick a pepper Jamaican sauce. It's like a really runny steak sauce, so I just added that inside the burger for seasoning. So I'm going to go ahead and smash that burger in the beef fat and get things going. So then we got the egg, and then for the side we're going to do rice. I has to be Japanese sticky rice, and I always recommend Kokuho Rose rice. So we'll get started on making that Loco Moco. So there's that Kokuho Rose, very good quality. You can see it comes out of California. So I got my beef stock in the ice cube trays, froze it. That yellow thing beside it was the beef fat. That's my softball size hamburger. Got the gravy going. So I'm just gonna put that. Yeah, that yellow stuff is the beef fat that I skimmed off the cold stock. I really like my cast iron skillet. It's well seasoned. And in goes my hamburger. I'll show you what I mean by smashed. So that you're going to get a lot of browning all over the surface area of the burger there. It's just a giant burger I got going. So I seasoned it on the inside. Now I'm just seasoning it on the outside. I get a little salt, a little pepper. I got that skillet pretty hot, so I like beef to get nice and caramelized. Giving the old gravy a stir. So you can see it's just, at this point, it's just swimming in beef fat and hamburger grease. So I'm going to get that fried egg in there. And I'm going to give it one more seasoning. And again, like all that beef fat's just going to make that egg so delicious. So then I'm going to give it a little bit of cover. And I'm just going to put a splash of water so the top of the egg cooks. But I still want it like really runny and sunny side. So in goes just a splash of water, and then I'm going to cover it. So that's going to take care of the top of the egg there. And that is just about done. So I got all that beautiful gravy that I made from those roasted bone stocks. I'm going to be generous with the gravy. And then I'm going to put the hamburger patty and that nice sunny side egg fried in all that beef fat and hamburger grease. Now, I'm no John Catucci, but I know good food when I eat it. Where the hell is that music coming from? Alright, so we got the Loco Moco. Mookie's right on cue. She seems to always be interested when there's food involved. Alright, so the key here is we got the runny egg. So you want that egg yolk to go all over the burger. That's going to be part of the sauce. It kind of looks like a dog's breakfast, but believe me, it's delicious. It's the combination of the beef, the eggs, the yolk, and the sticky rice. And then, of course, my killer gravy. I'll just take a little taste here. Oh yeah. I put a lot of pepper in the gravy. I like my gravy peppery. And the sticky rice with the gravy. Oh yeah. That's the stuff. And that's my Loco Moco. Eat your heart out, John Catucci. Alright, so we just did the classic Loco Moco. Now I'm going to do a little spin on it. I'm going to do an Italian Loco Moco. So instead of the Japanese sticky rice, I have Orzo Pasta. It looks just like rice, only it's pasta. You just boil it according to the package, 9 to 10 minutes. And then instead of the brown gravy, I'm going to do what the Italians call a Sunday gravy. You might have seen it on The Sopranos. So basically, I just have leftover spaghetti sauce that I cooked a bunch of meat in. You can do stew meat or chicken, but the meat adds a nice flavor to the tomato-based spaghetti sauce. And then for the egg, on the classic Loco Moco, I love frying the egg in hamburger grease, but I also have a perfect poached egg recipe. So I have my gadget here. It's called a Sous Vide. So I have it set to 167, and I'm just gonna. So basically, I have the water set. I'm gonna put an egg in. So the temperature of the sous vide and the time is very important to get the perfect poached egg. I'm doing 167. I've looked up on a couple websites. 167 seems to be the magic number for a poached egg. And then it's going to go for 12 minutes. Then I'm also, later on, I'm going to do a Cuban plate. So I'm going to do a Steak Churrasco. And I'm also going to sous vide the meat in there. Now with the steak, I'm going to put it in a Ziploc bag and then put it in the water. And the water will cook it to whatever temperature exactly that I want it to be. Now, when you're sous videing meat, it tends to turn gray, so you have to sear it afterwards. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sear it twice. I'm going to sear it once before. Now, a lot of people think searing seals in the juice. That's more of a myth, but I'm going to do it to get something called the Maillard effect. So the browning or caramelization of the meat's going to add flavor while it's cooking in the bag. And then I'm also going to add a marinade to the bag. And then once it's cooked to the perfect temperature, I'm going to take it off again and sear it just to get a little brownness. Now I have a flank steak that I'm going to use for my Cuban steak churrasco. You can see the grains go this way. So when you cut it, you want to cut it against the grains because it is going to be a really tough piece of meat. I'm going to cook it rare, so you're going to want to cut that. So I'm going to let this egg go up until the 12-minute point, and then I'm going to start my Loco Moco. And then again, instead of the hamburger patty, I'm going to do an Italian sausage. So we're going to have the Italian pasta, the Italian sauce, the Italian sausage, and a perfectly poached egg. So I'm just, I have 2 Spolumbo sausages there. I'm just taking the sausage out of the casing. So I'm going to take the 2 sausages and make one giant patty for my Italian Loco Moco. Spolumbo sausage, it's got to be the best sausage in town. Coincidentally, best sausage in town was my nickname in high school. So I'm just getting the casings off the sausage, and I'm going to put it into a little ball first, and then I'm going to make a giant patty. So I'm going to make my Italian Loco Moco, but before that, I'll show you my trip to Spolumbo's where I bought the sausage. So Spolumbo's is located just east of downtown Calgary. It's in the Inglewood neighborhood. You can see there's ample parking. And that address is 1308 9th Avenue Southeast. And again, in the Inglewood neighborhood, it's a nice little neighborhood if you ever get down there. So Spolumbo's was started by 3 CFL players, Tony and Tom Spolatini and Mike Palumbo, which makes up the name Spolumbo's. So I had a nice little espresso as I was waiting for my sandwich that I got to go, as well as I got 6 hot Italian sausages to make my Italian Loco Moco. So I read that they make literally 20,000 kilos of sausage a week. You can get Spolumbo's at the airport and at Sobeys, among other locations. They have breakfast till 10 a.m., which consists of a breakfast burger, scrambled eggs and banger, buongiorno brioche with a sausage patty, and a breakfast wrap. They also cater. The catering, they have cold cuts and hot entrees. They have a number of daily specials. Saturdays they have a porchetta muffaletta. Tuesdays calzone. Thursdays and Saturday meatloaf on a Kaiser. And weekdays they also have a cutlet on a Kaiser. Also they have their famous sausage on a bun, meatball subs, a Texas beef brisket on a bun, and a very large selection of cold cuts. So obviously they're most famous for their homemade sausages. And I got the Italian hot spicy sausage to make my Loco Moco. And then the sandwich that I got was called the Spolumbo Special. So there it is. It has mortadella, which I call the Cadillac of Bologna, Genoa salami, capicola ham, and prosciutto. And it was just outstanding. Okay, so I'm just frying off that Spolumbo sausage. It's actually 2 sausages that I took out of the casing and made a patty. You could actually buy rounds or patties too, but I really like the hot Italian. So I'm just giving it good browning there. And that's my Sunday gravy. I got the Orzo Pasta going. And with the sausage, you want to make sure it's cooked all the way through, obviously. And there's my Orzo Pasta that I drained. I cooked for 8 minutes. Made a little well with the sauce. There's a Spolumbo sausage on top. Alright, so I have my perfectly poached egg in my sous vide, 167 degrees Fahrenheit for 12 minutes. I'm just going to put it in this ramekin thing here. I'm basically just putting it in this vessel first, just to get a good presentation. Alright, so I got the Orzo Pasta and my Sunday gravy. I usually just smother everything, but I made a little well in the Orzo Pasta just so you can kind of see everything. I'm going to put my Spolumbo sausage patty on there. I made a little well there. Hopefully we'll get the egg to stay on top. So this is my perfectly poached egg. Gonna get a quick photo. Alright, there's a photo of my perfectly poached egg. Now we're gonna do the money shot. This is what we call food porn. See the eggs nice and runny. And you got the nice Sunday gravy and my Italian Spolumbo sausage for my Italian Loco Moco. All right, I hope you enjoyed the Loco Mocos. This next segment is called Best Tropical Destination Stories. So send your best tropical destination stories to chappiness@yahoo.com. Mookie's going to point to the email address. Send your stories in. And now we're going to have our next segment. It's from Slumpy Lizard in Calgary, Alberta. The name of the story is Tropical Illness Trifecta. So I'll get Mookie to summon the tiki drums and we'll begin the story. Okay, so we have a story from Slumpy Lizard in Calgary, Alberta. The name of the story is Tropical Illness Trifecta. Day one of a 7-day vacation in the Dominican Republic for three 20-something bachelors started with tequila and orange juice at 10 a.m. Even though the resort was an all-inclusive, the purely liquid breakfast was void of any solid food. By noon, the three were at the beach taking turns going to the bar to get beers. At approximately 1:30 p.m., one of the vacationers, let's call him Rayo, had switched his order to double rum and coke and seemed to be making extra trips to the bar in between the completion of his travel mate's drinks. At this particular resort, there were a number of local vendors walking the beach, attempting to make sales to local foreign resort goers. It became apparent that Rayo was not only determined to engage in conversation with each of the vendors as they walked, but also to make a purchase. The timing and consumption of Rayo's purchases are approximate, as these events occurred in the mid-90s. 2:10 p.m. Wooden beaded necklace was purchased and is now being worn. 2:15 p.m. One shot of tequila was poured into a shot glass that the vendor was reusing as he walked down the beach. Was consumed. 2:16 p.m. Second shot of tequila from the same vendor was consumed. 2:25 p.m. After a short conversation with a woman who was braiding women's hair on the beach, Rayo elected to get a small tuft of his chest hair braided, and he now has pink and blue beads strung through a small patch of the hair on his chest. 2:35 p.m. A third shot of tequila was consumed from the vendor with a dirty glass. 2:40. Rayo is now sitting on the sand close to the ocean and is approached by a vendor with a bucket of raw oysters. I don't like where this is going. Rayo hands the vendor $5 US. The vendor pulls out a rusty knife out of his pocket, cuts open the oyster and hands it to Rayo. Rayo sucks back the oyster and indicates through hand gestures that he would like another. 2:45 p.m. Rayo consumes a final shot of tequila, which was purchased from the vendor with the dirty shot glass. For a handful of US dollars, the vendor allows Rayo to eat the worm, which is at the bottom of the empty bottle. It is now just after 3 p.m. and Rayo stands and walks back up the beach in a zigzagging fashion. He drops down beside his travel companions and goes to sleep on the towel that has been spread out on the sand by an unknown beachgoer. The other resort guests that are in the area seem to show a mixture of concern and repulsion as they quickly move back to what they believe would be a safe distance. Rayo is now face down on the towel, snoring loudly. At this point, it has become apparent that Rayo has forgotten to apply sunscreen and is starting to burn. One of his travel companions tries to wake him up and hand him a bottle of suntan lotion. Rayo mutters, "F you, you effing effers." At approximately 3:45, Rayo's back is completely red, and a young woman attempts to reprimand Rayo's travel companions for letting their sleeping friend burn in the sun. One of the travel companions suggests that she attempt to wake him and offer him some sunscreen. To their amusement, a version of the statement that Rayo originally made when he was woken up 30 minutes earlier was slurred. The woman scampers off in disgust. Concern among the other guests was growing, and as most people passed, they expressed some form of disgust or concern. Rayo's travel companions pull him off the towel and guide him back to the hotel room. Approximately 4:30 p.m., the trifecta of tropical illness was complete, as it was apparent that Rayo had severe sunstroke, some form of food poisoning, most likely from the oysters, but could have been from the tequila worm or drinking from the dirty glass. And, of course, a mild case of alcohol poisoning.
Rayo's backside was scarlet red, and in between violent bouts of diarrhea, Rayo vomited into the toilet, eventually losing his false teeth. Rayo is bedridden for the next 3 days. This story does not have a happy ending, because on the 5th day of the vacation, Rayo is somehow able to make it back down to the beach to get another case of sunstroke and a second bout of alcohol poisoning. However, this time, he was smart enough to stay away from the oysters, and his false teeth have somehow found their way back into his mouth. The end. All right, I'm going to go make some jerk chicken. Stay tuned. Greetings, mon. We're making Jamaican jerk chicken today. I'm going to do a brine. There's a lot of good jerk chicken marinades out there. I prefer the brine, and then I'll just grill it and then add the sauce at the end. I really like brining chicken. So we'll start off, just bust up some garlic with my knife here. I got a bay leaf, rosemary sprig. We got some brown sugar. And then we'll go a full cup of salt. Use sea salt. I don't like the iodized salt. It just the flavor is not quite as good. And so we're gonna fill this up with water and bring it to a boil. Then I'm gonna add a bunch of ice. And you want to make sure, even after you add the ice, that the water is cold. You don't want warm or hot water when you add the chicken. I'm gonna put the chicken in the fridge overnight to brine. And then we'll take it out and grill it. All right, so I've brined my chicken overnight. I have had it in a sealed Tupperware to prevent any cross-contamination. So then my next step is I'm going to pack dry the chicken. I just did it with a towel. And then I'm going to put it back in the fridge after it's all dry and let it air dry for like another 12 hours. So I find when like the chicken's wet, it doesn't brown as good. And then when I put it on the grill, I'm going to put it on the barbecue, cook it on the barbecue. I'm going to get it super hot, and it's a propane barbecue, so I'm going to turn the one side completely down. So I'm going to have a hot side and a not so hot side, and I'll move it back and forth, skin up, and then that'll prevent the flare-ups from the oil in the skin. And I'll mostly keep it on the low side, and then just have it cook with the convection in the barbecue. And then so for my side, I'm going to do what the Jamaicans call like peas and rice, but it's really just red beans and rice. So I'm just going to get regular rice, and I'll do it in a frying pan, and then I'll add some red kidney beans with the liquid. And then I got this, it's a Jamaican seasoning, Cool Runnings. I'll add that into the rice. It actually says rice and peas seasoning. I got this at Superstore. I also have, to finish off the chicken, Cool Running jerk seasoning. Now, one time I just did it like I normally did, but I did it shake and bake style. So I put it in a Ziploc bag with this seasoning, and it just seemed like there was a ridiculous amount of salt. So it was just like eating salted chicken. I'll just look here. So for a half, it says half teaspoon, there's 160 milligrams of sodium. So like I'm just gonna gently sprinkle it on after I put the sauce on my chicken. So and then when I sauce the chicken, I'm just gonna do it at the end because there's a lot of sugar in the sauce and I don't want it to burn. But that is actually my secret, is the sauce that I use, and it's just the Buffalo Wild Wings Caribbean Jerk. You can get this at any Buffalo Wild Wings restaurant. And I heard, well, it has the ingredients on here, but there's like 30 different ingredients, and I've pretty much tried every jerk sauce there is, and this is by far the best. So I'll let my chicken air dry in the fridge for another 12 hours, and then we'll get it on the grill.
So I got the whole barbecue going on high there. I'm just going to move the chicken over to the griddle side. The griddle will also prevent the flare-ups, but if you don't have the griddle, I'm just going to show you how to turn the heat down to. So first I'll close the lid so that whole convection thing, oven thing goes, and then I'm going to turn the heat way down. So if you didn't have the griddle, that would prevent the flare-ups. All right, so I got my Jamaican jerk chicken all finished. I did my peas and rice. They're a little wetter than I like them. I might leave some of the liquid out from the red beans next time. So there's my Jamaican jerk chicken. So I ended up marinating it for like 12 hours, and then I air chilled it for another 12 hours to sort of dry it out. I probably would have went maybe 6 hours with airing it out in the fridge just to get the moisture off. Then I put it on the grill. I did the hot side and less hot side, moved it around lots so I didn't have the flare-ups and the burns. And then I finished it off with the Buffalo Wild Wings Caribbean jerk sauce and a little bit of the Cool Running seasoning, but not too much because it's salty. So let's tuck into that and see what we got here. And of course I let it rest like I would with a steak. Yeah, it's nice and juicy. And I also had put some herbs underneath the skin. I did rosemary and thyme. Thyme is synonymous with jerk chicken. Now with the brining, it's the same with turkeys. You're going to get a little bit different texture, but it's a good trade-off if you want well-seasoned chicken all the way through. Oh yeah, it's nice and moist. It's good. Then on the grill, you want to have it internal temperature of around 165, 170. You can even do 185 if you like sort of the mouthfeel of cooked chicken. Very juicy and moist. The brining really worked well. Peas and rice aren't bad. So that's my Jamaican jerk chicken. Turned out pretty good. Leave any comments below if you have any thoughts about brining versus not brining. All right, today we're making Haupia. If you've ever been to a Hawaiian luau, you've probably had Hawaiian Haupia as the dessert. It's dead easy. So first off, we got my pan. It also makes a fashionable hat. Reminds me of the story we used to call my brother Ryan Adam's apple seed because he'd go from town to town getting punched in the Adam's apple. So we'll start off making our Hawaiian Haupia. I got a can of full fat coconut milk. We're gonna go half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And then I have a third cup of water. And then I have 6 tablespoons of sugar. I have Rogers sugar, most likely made at the sugar factory in Tabor, Alberta. So in goes the 6 tablespoons of sugar. And then I have 8 tablespoons of cornstarch. I like it firm. If you want a more pudding consistency, do 6 tablespoons. but I like my Haupia, like my women, nice and firm. However, my girlfriend's not white, so that may not apply here. So I'm just going to whisk it up, put it on the stove, let it simmer for 10 to 15 minutes. You'll know it's ready when it thickens, and then you're just going to pour it into a pan and put it in the fridge for 6 to 8 hours, and then we'll have some lovely Haupia. All right, so I got it on medium heat. You want to stir it till the lumps get out, and basically the Haupia will tell you when it's ready. You'll know it's ready because it'll thicken right up. Okay, you can see that's thickened right up. Now, I also read you could substitute the third cup of water for a third cup of almond milk. Alright, you can see how thick that is. Alright, so I got the Haupia nice and thick. Just gonna spread it around. So what you want to do is let it cool to room temperature, and then I'm gonna put some sort of saran wrap on top, and I'm gonna put it in the fridge overnight, and you'll be able to cut them into nice little squares. Haupia is a traditional coconut milk-based Hawaiian dessert, often found at luau's and other local gatherings in Hawaii. Since the 1940s, it has become popular as a topping for white cake, especially at weddings. Although technically considered a pudding, the consistency of Haupia closely approximates gelatin dessert, as is usually served in blocks like gelatin.
Okay, so I'm making chimichurri sauce for my Steak Churrasco, the Cuban plate. So we're going to start with a good handful of cilantro. You can use the stems too. There's lots of flavor in the stems because we're just going to wazz it up. And I'm going to give it a little bit of red chili flakes. Touch of garlic salt. And a little bit of sea salt. Normally I use red wine vinegar, but I'm using the rice wine today. Just a little dash. And lots of olive oil. And we can add a little bit as we're blending it. And I'm also going to add just a little bit of water to loosen it up. All right, we're going to wazz it up. And I'll probably add a little bit more cilantro. It looks a little loose. All right, so the chimichurri was looking a little thin, so I added all the stems. And I forgot about the garlic. So I have 2 cloves of garlic, but I'm going to just help it out a bit and crush it in there. Okay, give it another whack. And that consistency looks just about perfect for my chimichurri sauce.
So there's my cooked flank steak. You always want to let it rest. As you can see, I'm looking for the grains there to cut it against the grains. And I have a perfectly cooked piece of meat there. So for Steak Churrasco, the word Churrasco just means boneless cut of meat. And a churrasquera is a restaurant that serves grilled meat, like a Brazilian steakhouse where they go around with the skewers of swords of meat, really.
Okay, got a plantain here. Looks like a banana. The green ones obviously are less sweet, so it is a lot harder to peel than a banana. Very popular among Cuban cuisine. You can hear when I cut it, there's almost like a crunch to it. So we're gonna fry it up in oil and hit it with a little bit of salt at the end, and that's gonna be a side for my Cuban plate.
So I got the paper towel in a bowl there just to get the excess grease off of the plantains. So as soon as they come out hot, you want to give it a good hit of salt. Famous chef once said, even if you're deep frying dog shit, you want to salt it right when it comes out of the fryer. Oh, there's the salt. I'm actually using sea salt there. I'm just getting a little bit of the excess grease off. A little more salt. So the beans I'm using for my black beans and rice, I got at Trader Joe's in the States. Cuban black beans, and then the Kokuho Rose again for the rice. I have my rice maker, so I usually just do 1 part rice, 2 parts water. It never goes wrong when I do that exact ratio, and just let the rice maker do its thing. So there is my perfectly cooked steak. Rare, and I'm just applying my chimichurri sauce, and that is a beautiful thing. Alright, so I got my Cuban plate. So I got the deep fried plantains, black beans. I just got the black beans, Cuban black beans out of a can. If you don't have Cuban black beans, I got these in the States. Just get regular black beans, add some peppers and onions. And then my Japanese sticky rice. And then of course the flank steak. So I seared it to get the Maillard effect. I put it in the sous vide bag with a marinade of olive oil, soy sauce, and garlic. And then I put it in the sous vide for a couple hours at 129 to get the perfect medium rare. And then I took it out. I put it back on the grill. So I grilled it just to get a little bit more color on the outside. And then, of course, my chimichurri sauce I made fresh with cilantro, vinegar, garlic, red chili flakes. So I've got a little tiny bit of steak for Mookie, so she's going to critique it. Let's see what you think, Mookie. I think Mookie likes it. So we got a winner. The Cuban plate, Steak Churrasco with chimichurri sauce, and sides of rice, black beans, and fried plantains. We got a winner.
All right, today I'm making Hawaiian chili water. It's an incredibly popular traditional Hawaiian dish. Mookie's in the background. She seems to be quite interested. So I got some pink Hawaiian sea salt. I'm going to do 4 parts water, 1 part vinegar. I usually do white vinegar, but today I have rice wine vinegar. And then I have 8 Thai chilies. If you can find Hawaiian chilies, that would be much better. I can't. And then I'm going to put a good hunk of fresh ginger. I'm going to put a whole clove of garlic, and then a splash of Worcestershire sauce, and a splash of soy sauce. If you can't find the pink Hawaiian salt, sea salt will work as well. So I'm just going to put it in a pot, bring it to a nice boil, let it steep for about 5 minutes, let it cool, and then I'm going to put it into a bottle in the fridge. It'll last up to a year. It's pretty healthy. This is the final product. You can use it basically as a hot sauce. Put it on fish, over rice. Goes great on poke. And that is my Hawaiian chili water.
All right, so we're going to close out the show with Orange Whip. Orange Whip, Orange Whip, Orange Whip. If you know what movie that's from, leave it in the comments below. That way I know you watched the entire long episode number 3. All right, so we're going to start with the Orange Whip. I like my gadgets. This is a orange citrus press. So it does about 90 kilos of pressure. So I'm just gonna move Fred's head there. Get out of the way, Fred. All right, so that's 90 kilos of pressure on the orange. I got 10 orange halves. And then I'm gonna mix it up in a mason jar. So I got a big cup of fresh orange juice. And then I got a packet of sweetener, or you can use regular sugar. We're going to do a little splash of vanilla. And then I got a shot of almond milk. You can use regular milk as well. And then just to add that sort of Orange Julius type consistency and flavor, I'm just going to do a pinch of magic baking powder. Okay, and then I have Absolute Mandarin vodka. And then I have, it's called Pinnacle Whipped Vodka. It's whipped cream flavored vodka. Okay, so in goes the mason jar. And we're really going to give it a good shake. All right, we're going to add some ice. And you see it's nice and frothy. And we got an orange slice. And we'll do a maraschino cherry. And that's your orange whip. Very nice. So that concludes my video for today. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up and please subscribe. We'll see you next time on Chappie's Tiki Bar.